You are listening to Let's Talk Sports with Tim McCain, and I am here with a friend of the show. I believe that someone who has definitely given me the opportunity to interview him time after time. I am talking to Shaw University's assistant head coach, defensive coordinator, linebackers coach from Shaw University, Gilbert Wiggins. How you doing today, Coach?
How you doing, Tim? I look forward to talking to you as always, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
Man.
one of the things about you, sir, and that I've noticed from Shaw University is you guys have a juggernaut of a defensive unit. I mean, for the people who don't know, Shaw University, they only allow 258 yards per game. They only allow their opponents to score 13.8 points per game. And it just seems like whenever Shaw University is playing a team, they got to worry about that defense first. They got to make there's something about that defense that makes Shaw University fearful for anyone that plays them. Coach Wiggins, what's the secret sauce? What's the game plan? What goes into the lockdown defense that you created at Shaw University?
Well, anyway, I'm gonna say thank you about that. All the stats, man. I appreciate that. We got some guys that have bought into our process and what we want to do. Our defense is based on speed, and the guys usually have fun in what we're doing. They play hard, man. I admire them guys for that. They play hard. They never quit, and they take pride in who we are. That make a difference. The guys being on the same page.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So talk about the adjustments that you have as a coach, because like in the NFL and even the collegiate system, you've had offensive schemes like the spread, and you see now in the NFL, you see this. It's almost like the rule changes and everything, and the way that style play, offenses can just score a zillion points compared to what they used to back in the days, even when I was a kid growing, especially in what I would consider, and this is not a shot, but just in my opinion, the traditional style of football where defense wins championships. How do you as a coach adapt to the new era of offense when it's so far removed compared to what was of old?
Yeah, a lot of things have changed. I have to say in the offense favor. Um, you can't hit a guy at a certain time. You the quarterback is basically untouched. You can't touch him unless he's running the football. So um, it had changed to a finesse game. And offense, all the offense now is built on finesse. They lining up, throwing the ball all over the field. You very seldom uh, will see a team that can run the football and win games. Those times I think it has gone, and it has gone because everybody's trying to find a dual threat quarterback. With that being said, the dual threat quarterback he caused a problem for teams because he's an addition running back in the backfield. So now you got more guys to worry about. Not only if the guys are good um, running himself, the team might have a good running back also. So now you got a problem in your hands. So you just gotta play fast. You gotta have a scheme set up to where um, everything is basic and strong on both sides of the field. You just can't go into the field and expect trying. You can't try anything no more. You gotta be you gotta be uh, based on both sides.
Mm.
Yeah. So
My next question to you is tackling. So one of the things that I've noticed about football is, like you said, you cannot hit. Not only can you not hit the quarterback, and speaking of that, did you see that fake slide that happened? I'm not sure if it was the Pittsburgh quarterback, where he did a fake slide. As a defensive coordinator, what do you think of stuff like that? But also in terms of tackling, do you feel like as a coach you almost have to retrain people how to tackle because they can't tackle the same. What's the new age of tackling? And is it, or how can it be as effective compared to the past years, the previous years?
You know, tackling is basically just for safety purpose. You know, learn how to tackle certain ways. Um, I know my philosophy, I'm quite sure some other guys who is a coordinator, let's get them to the ground. I don't care how you do it, to get them to the ground. All that form tackling is basically it's there for safety. You know, keep your head up. You know, don't leave with your head and all that good stuff. But football, let's get them to the ground, man. I don't care how you do it. Just get them down to the ground. That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What do you think of the quarterbacks? Even when he's, running, he still has the same. It's almost like he has the same amount of security as if he's in the pocket. If you were going to talk to an official that could change the rules, how would you change rules to the game that it would be more fair to defenders? Because to be honest with you, as a viewer, as a fan of the sport, sometimes I actually think that offensive players can actually get away with making dirty plays compared to a defender.
Right. One of the rules I think that is very difficult for a defensive player because they say you can't lower your head to tackle a defender, but most running backs, they lower their head and go down. So you got to go down further than they go down. So the only way you're gonna do it, got to put your head down in there. You know what I'm saying? So it's that rule right there is I don't know. That's tough. That's really tough. I mean, because a guy is taught about leverage, and the lowest guy usually win the battle. So if a running back is running the ball and you going in to tackle him and he put his head down, it's I don't know, man. That's a rule right there that we can't win as a defense on defense side of the ball. That's hard to win that battle right there because we can't. I don't know how to teach a guy. I teach a guy. Do I say give him to the ground? You try to go as low as the other guy go. And a lot of times he go down real low, and then you go down low, and then all of a sudden you hop on top of it. We can't win the battle. So it's hard, very hard.
Yeah, to me, it's very frustrating, especially like you said, because an offensive player can, like you said, lean with his head, and it's almost like a defender. He can actually injure himself,
Right.
making sure he does not impact the offensive player that's going headfirst at him. So I don't quite understand why that rule is there. But actually, I want to go into some of the games that you have. So I want to give just people just a general view of some of the games that you've won. Because for people who don't know, Shaw, they have a 5-2 conference record. So they've won 5 games. They only lost 2 in their conference. So they're one of the best teams in their conference. But I wanted to go over some of the games that you guys won, and I want to know your perspective on this. So 52-0 over Central State. And that was September 18th. Then you have September 25th against Lincoln University, 41-6, and Virginia Union 27-7 on October the 2nd. Going into these games, what is the mindset, as well as also when you're blowing out teams so effectively, how do you remind your guys not to take their foot off the gas pedal because they're blowing guys out and they're doing it in ways where it's almost like they could because they're beating guys so badly?
Well, I think that those games that you named, well, first of all, the game against Lincoln wasn't indicated by the score, they actually had a lead on us at halftime. So of course we had, we got under a big old tree at halftime and sit down and had a old fashioned powwow. So I need to say when he came back, the guy did a better job. I think those games were the product of us playing two good teams at the start of the year, which was Wingate and Davidson College. For everybody who don't know, Davidson College was the best offensive team in the FCS. They run a very, very tough offense. And we could have won that game. We should have won that game. I think we helped them down to the lowest production of the year. A lot of teams they can't stop them, and we did it with, like I said, with speed and guys just playing, man, playing hard. And they never saw I kind of speed before. It was something new to them. And they said after the game that we were just fast, And playing an FCS team, they are supposed to play faster than us because we're D2. Most FCS teams, they line up, gone. They run about 100 plays a game. David had a very hard time doing that. We shut them down real well, and it was a very, very, very good game. The Wingate game, we just played that one. It was played that they played in the spring. We didn't, so they were like more in game mode, and we was in practice mode. They had played, and we didn't have. We hadn't played in a year and a half or so.
Right.
So we was in practice mode, and you can tell the difference between their when they ran the plays. They were more efficient than we were. But I guarantee we played them later on in the year. It probably been different story. But the other game, like you named, we just play hard, man. Put it on the pedal and it kept on going. Junior Union game was very inspiring. Our guys was looking forward to playing against Fayetteville State the week after that, and they tried to set a tone. To know that we were a very good team. Unfortunately, we didn't win the game against Fayetteville State, but I ain't gonna talk about that one.
Well, actually, okay, cool. Because how do you? Because actually, was going to be my next question was about Fayetteville State. But what I'll ask though is this: what I'll ask is, how do you, as a coach, in general, not necessarily just at Shaw University where you are now, but how do you, as a coach, help your team, inspire your team during a loss? Let's say you're the head coach and one side of your team does their job. One side does, everything they're supposed to do. And the other side, they do an okay job, but they don't do it at the same level as the other side. How do you, as a coach, group those young guys together as a team instead of collectively blaming each other for losses? How do you deal with that as a coach?
Well, I take the blame myself a lot of times. I tell the players that it's not your fault that we lost. It's our fault. We got out coached. To take all the blame yourself, and let because like you say, it can get kind of ugly if they start blaming one another.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they was doing that at one time. They were starting to do that stuff, and we saw it as coaches and cut it out. So, but you guys gotta let the guys know that you are playing hard, you playing well. We lost the game because we were out coached. It might not be true, but that's the way it is sometimes. You always did the blame. You know, never blame the kids. Never blame the kids, no matter what. When you win the games, you say the kids won the game. You know, that kind of stuff. Put everything. Make sure the kids not scarred. We are on the coaches. So, but it just playing against family was just one of them games, man. We always be right there and always decide about 3 points or less, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
Just can't get over the hump on it. It was a couple of bad calls in that game that, you know, but you gotta play through that. That's football.
Yes, sir. That's football. That's football. Speaking of football, one of the new changes, outside of just the offense changing, now we have this transfer portal, which, in my opinion, it's totally different. And you know, obviously, we've had coaches like Notre Dame, and I'm, for the record, I believe what I'm not speaking for you. I'm only speaking for myself. When the Notre Dame coach did at the end of the year, I think what he did, as you know, was disrespectful, and I think that's not something that should be messed around with, because you have a bunch of guys who look to you almost in a sense like a father figure, and you kind of just leave them there like that. So I'm not speaking for you. I'm only speaking for myself. I don't
Right.
think that was the right move. But in terms of the student athlete, you see athletes doing kind of like what Brian Kelly did, in a sense of this transfer portal, where you have multiple kids who can, you know, they can. You're seeing more transfers now than you ever have, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on the transfer portal, and how do you, as a coach, how can you convince kids to stay at universities for the long haul? Because it seems like if the rubber meets the road somewhere, they want to hit. If there's adversity, some of these kids, it seems like they want to transfer.
Well, we had one or two kids that do that also, and go to the transfer portal. But you know, you have to be careful as a coach to get a kid out of the transfer portal, because he's there for a reason. And a lot of times it's the lack of playing time where he at. You know, guys get in the transfer portal because they think the grass is green on the other side of the town. And but I always tell the kids, look, man, you never know the whole situation where you're trying to go, or where you're going, and you got basically start all over, because now you got to get to know the coach, you got to get to know you, got to learn the players, they got to learn you. So basically, you're starting all over, and if you really pray on your situation, on your decision, and give it time to, I mean, they ain't get better a lot of time before they get worse. And that's, like I said, a lot of guys want to transfer because they're not having success where they at, or they transfer because they're having a hard time with the coach, per se. Or you know, they transfer because they some of them guys they're trying to do the best thing to get better, or trying to do the next level, not knowing that you get next level no matter where you go. They'll find you. We had got three guys now playing in the All-Star games. So you know, and they being looked at real heavily. So you know, it's you gotta be careful, man, when you go in that portal, man, because I don't like going in there and get kids out of there, because a lot of times you could get a kid who's a cancer. You know, he might have had a problem at the school he was at, and get a kid, man, he might be a cancer. So you bring somebody in that somebody else's problem, bring to your house. But I had a kid that was in the portal. I talked him out of it. I guess I did anyway, and I haven't seen him since I talked to him. But he sounded like he would change his mind. He was a very good player, but he didn't have any stats per se. You know, he was, you know, a guy that played defensive back, but he didn't have any interceptions. He had a few tackles, but he was a guy who was better at playing man to man instead of the whole part of playing DB. You know, now DB got to be the tackle, got to be able to play zone. So I talked to him and let him see that, because you know, who just say you going somewhere else and they do the same thing that we do. They're playing zone and you can't play zone. You're a man guy. So there you are again in the wrong place. You think you're in the wrong place. So anyway, you know, I don't know. We'll see how what happens. You know, but Portland, I don't trust it. I think it's bad for football. I think it's bad for football. Really, I do. Because we got a lot of kids that's transferring, just be doing it.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that ain't good for the sport.
I definitely.
That's my opinion.
I totally respect what you're saying, and I think, like I said, there can be, you know, circumstances where they might need to transfer because they want to get better, or maybe there's a toxic relationship there, or whatever. And there can be kids that can, you know, maybe they had a bad situation somewhere else, and they go somewhere else, and they learn from their mistakes, and they become better, you know, better football players, better people, better men. So. Yes, sir. So I definitely agree with you that people shouldn't just use the transfer portal just to use it. And they could be taking themselves from an opportunity that might make them better. And a great thing that you said was, and I want to know your take on this too. But a lot of people, they're like, well, yeah, I want to go to a place where it's a better situation for me, right? But like you've also said, you said the NFL will find you anywhere. You know, there was a quote that said, there was an athlete that said, oh yeah, I joined HBCUs before the bandwagon. And my perspective was HBCUs were always in. They were always in, even if we would look at the history. Talk about the great athletes that came from HBCU programs in the football field, in the football area, because if I'm correct, it sounds like some of the greatest players of all time were a part of HBCU teams. And so for people to be like, you know, that now HBCUs are the bandwagon, that's not the case. So Coach, what are your thoughts on that in terms of the power of HBCUs and the greatness that they've always had?
Well, I would say I'm old school. I came up in the era where most of the guys that's in the Hall of Fame were either had just finished playing or they were playing. You know, guys like you know, Mel Blunt, you know, all them guys in that area, man, with Steelers who went to HBCUs. You know, Walter Payton. No, there's so many of them, I can't name all them guys, man. But I was but back then, HBCU was basically D1. You know, every school they all had D1 players. And I tell the kids now that I said, man, back in the day you couldn't play back then because you weren't man enough. Back then, you know, I don't think there was such thing as MCL and ACL and all that stuff. We just put on an H-band and wrap it up and kept on going. You know? You know, there were a lot of guys right now, they have a hard time adjusting, walking, or whatever the case may be, because you know when they get the same kind of health care that they got now. You know, so, because now a guy, you know, he hurt his toenail, break his toenail. He got to be here out for 2 games. You know, so that wasn't heard of back then. Guy was playing for a different reason because they love the game. I'm not saying the guys love the game now, but now it's more about that money, you know, than it was back then. You probably made some $1,000 and thought you was rich. So, but it's HBCU will always be in my heart. I would live to state. I went there, and I wouldn't trade nothing in the world. I had the opportunity to go to Michigan State. They tried to send me to a military school in New Mexico. I wasn't having that, so I went to live in the state. So, and I wouldn't trade nothing in the world. I think I had a great experience. I think it's good. I don't like to say this, but I think it's good to go to bed and wake up, see somebody your own.
I respect it.
Go to the dining hall, see somebody that you know who you used to. So who know you, and how to go see somebody who know how to treat you when times get hard. Right, when I have a problem with my family at home, they understand that I got to go home. I need to go home. And you haven't been there, then you don't know how to deal with it. So a lot of coaches now at the PWI, they don't understand that. They think the guy you can know you can't play football. Some things happen at your house. You can't deal with that. You got to wait till which after the game's over, or whatever the case may be. But I think one from the HBCU, they understand it because they've been through it and they lived it. So every kid having a problem at his home, he got to go back. He got to go. And I never try to hold a kid back from going home. If you say you need to go home, if you have some kind of problem at the house, somebody passed away or whatever, you got to go home. You got to go. If I could get a ride, I would, but I can't myself. We got a game, but it's a whole different experience, man. Guys, and now people starting to see that because of all the problems that's going on in the world. All this, all this shooting, black men and everything. So now all of a sudden, black universities and everything is black is coming out now. People are starting to recognize it. I don't know if they feel sorry for you. I don't know if they're trying to. I don't know if they're scared. I don't know what it is, but now everything is starting to be pro-black a little bit, and that's good. And that's bad. It's good, but we'll take it. So, but HBCU, man, I wouldn't trade nothing in the world. Every job I had been at HBCU. I've been coaching 30-some years, and every job I had, I've been at HBCU. I guess I love it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's gonna be that love that continues the legacy on for HBCUs. So they, our kids and our kids' kids, they're gonna know about the history of historically black colleges, universities, and what they've done, the success that they've had, not only in sports but in academics, and the educational system, and in the political system, in the judicial system. HBCUs will forever be a staple, not only in the United States, but in the world. That's how much, that's the effect that HBCUs have. They've affected the world. So that's amazing. I appreciate you, Coach Wiggins.
Hey, man, always a pleasure, man. You know that.
Yes, sir. It was a blast. It was a blast. I really appreciate it. Okay, last question. Okay. So seeing the progress of your team, the buildup of your team that you've had, the juggernaut defense that we talked about, what are your thoughts on the foreseeable future of next year? The dominance that you guys are going to place. What do you see, and what are your expectations for next year?
Well, I mean, as far as defense concerned, I can speak of. I don't get involved with offense that much, man. Unless it's game day and they ain't doing nothing, I ain't getting involved with it. Because I know their success means that we gonna be successful.
Yes, sir.
If they have a hard time, I know we're gonna be in a dogfight. So, but next year, we lost some very good players. We lost our All-American linebacker and Devin Hunt. We lost two very good defensive ends, and lost my free safety, who guy named Kevin Sherman, who I think was one of the best I ever coached. All them guys played in the All-Star game, and I think they're playing in the next one, the Legacy Bowl. That's the big one. I think my linebacker playing in that one. I think I appreciate he might get invited to, but he had a good game this past weekend in a pigskin game in Alabama. But Nation, I think we're gonna be good. The D line, which is very good. We're number 10 in the nation this year. Number 10 in the nation. Total defense, we're number 3 in third down efficiency. So we did a good job. I think I get a bulk of my D line back. I got 2 linebackers who were young, and they learned under the All-American guy. The hardest guy that I'm gonna have to replace is the free safety.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can't find them guys. You can find them, but it'll take time for them guys to jail. But we got he'll be surrounded by starters, both corners, strong safety, linebackers, and so he'll have time to. He don't have time to get. He don't have the time that he may want to get better. But he will have time to be taught, and he can learn on as the season go on. But we're looking for we be good in defense. I think we should be good on offense. Get our whole offense back. Everybody back on offense.
That's good.
We should be very competitive. Should be very good. Everybody gonna shoot for us now. They always do. We get their best games. But I look forward to it, man. I can't wait for to see how we're gonna respond to this past season. I look forward to it. So when we start spring practice, come out and see us, man. In spring practice, man. Went out there and see us a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll make sure to make it this time.
Yeah, come see us, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad to see you.
Absolutely. Go Shaw Bears. I can't wait to see y'all next year.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.